Hey everyone, we are back on Monday with Chingón, and as you can tell, we have an amazing group of people here with us tonight. We are going to say that we are missing Edgar Palacios tonight. He is still traveling, so we miss you, Edgar. But we're going to handle this conversation with everyone here. So I just want to bring a huge shout out to our amazing guest here tonight. So Diosselyn, welcome. And Randy Lopez, hi, how are you doing? Glad to have you back again.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Yes, and Valeria Espadas, thank you. We just met just a little while ago, and I'm excited to get this conversation going.
So yeah, I'm very excited. Thank you.
Yeah. As you know, Mondays we're kind of just casual, just talking about whatever's going on right now. And there's a lot going on right now. And there's a lot of good things that are happening, you know, compared to what we've been dealing with and still dealing with to this day. So, Diosselyn, let's get started. I know you kind of gave us like this pre-write-up, and I love it. I love you and everything for us.
Thank you. So I was just kind of reading alongside today everything that has been going on in the world. And it seems like a lot is going on. A lot of good things passed today. A lot of good things are still pending, and then some other not so great things. But one of the things that I wanted to acknowledge real quick was the anniversary of DACA. Today's the anniversary of DACA. For the dreamers out there, congratulations on all the successes you guys have had. But we also want to remind you guys that DACA is still pending, is still in the courts. And please, if you guys haven't renew your DACA as soon as possible. I'll give a shout out to Kids Moda. They're doing a virtual DACA clinic, so please check out their website, and if we can get that up. Does anybody else want to say something about that?
Well, I was kind of talking briefly with Deanna a little bit before we jumped on. How, you know, my family's from a border town. We're from Juarez, and right on the other side of that, on the American border, is El Paso. And when I was in college, I started writing a small piece because I found out that if I had been born, I think the number was like 7 miles south, I wouldn't have been a citizen. And that really, it almost gives me chills, because to think that I was so lucky that I was born 7 miles north, to where I don't have to fear that, you know, they could take DACA away, and then everything that I've known really as a child gets taken away from me. If right now I got sent back to Mexico, of course I have some family there, but there's nothing for me there. You know, my life is here. I went to school here. I got my college education here. And I was telling her that, to me, you know, all these people that receive DACA, especially the ones that are going to school, they're getting an education, everything that they're gaining, they're going to put it right back into their communities. You know, this is their home. These are their communities. And I think it's just a really cruel, unnecessary, it just shows, I think, you know, the current administration, how cruel they can be to even threaten to take DACA away, which, yeah, that's just kind of my 2 cents about it. I feel lucky that my parents made that sacrifice, that they had the option, because I think any parent that, you know, that had the ability or the option would have taken it. And I just happen to be one of the lucky ones.
Valeria, while you're on this topic, can you tell us a little bit about what you do and, you know, what you work on right now in the community?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm a community mobilizer at El Centro. We're a nonprofit organization over in Wyandotte. We focus heavily on bringing resources to the Latino community. You know, I always like to say, anyone that walks in through the doors of El Centro is going to get help in the resources, but we are unapologetic about the fact that we serve the Latino community. And with Corona, everything has kind of shifted around a little bit, but we're still providing services. You know, these last couple of months have been very hectic. We've been doing a lot of services, a lot of applications for unemployment, for SNAP programs. You know, we do the food drives on Thursdays. We've been consecutively now, we make about 230 bags of just fresh produce that we always run out. You know, there's always a couple more people that are there that we have to apologize to, that we just don't have enough. But yeah, so in Centro, we have quite a few different departments. You know, some of it focuses on, I personally work on the advocacy side of it all, but we help people. We have a health navigation, which just kind of helps bring services, you know, that involve like Medicaid, applying for those sort of things and knowing how to navigate your way through that. We have an economic empowerment department, which focuses heavily on education for the Latino community. We have the Promotoras de Salud, which focuses on all sorts of nutrition aspects. You know, Latinos are our carb intake is a little bit higher than most. So we try to take traditional recipes and kind of make them a little bit healthier. We have the Academy for Children, which is a dual language preschool. So yeah, I mean, El Centro, we have a lot of resources for the community. I always say if there's something that you need, most likely El Centro can help you. And if not, we have a big network of connections to get you the help that you need. Yeah.
And a huge shout out to Irene Carrillo, who is doing amazing work over there and has been. I mean, she's been my savior for the last 10 years. I don't feel like she gets enough credit ever on how many people she's lifted up. I am definitely one of those people that I probably wouldn't be sitting here right now without her. And it's just all the phenomenal work and the people she hires, just like yourself, like to be a part of El Centro is just phenomenal. What made you want to work there? Like, what made you like decide to that was your place?
Man, honestly, for me, like Irene, obviously that's your person. For me, my person is Dee. Diosselyn I interviewed with her at El Centro because I wanted to work in advocacy. But at the time, she was like, I don't have anything available. You know, we can always use volunteers, but I just got out of college and I was like, I gotta pay these bills. So I don't know if I can volunteer right now, and then she called me back a couple of weeks and let me know that there was a position available for the Promotoras department. And then once I interviewed, got the job, I always kind of made my way over to the advocacy side. Like I always was kind of creeping on D, like, hey, what are you guys working on? What are you doing? How can I help? Because that's just my passion. Mm-hmm. I think growing up, being parents of immigrants, you learn very quickly, you know, that it's a community that needs all the resources that it can get. I know my family benefited from places like El Centro. So when it came time for me to get a job, it felt like the perfect fit for me it was almost like a full circle. You know, I get to give that stuff back now. And Diosselyn she was kind of the person I looked up to at El Centro, and she was doing I'm telling you, she's been working in community organizing since she was 13. I don't know anyone else that can say that. So yeah, she really kind of opened a lot of doors for me and showed me just how much work we can do and how much work there is to do within advocacy for Latinos. So that's kind of why I decided to get as involved as I can.
That's phenomenal. And I met Diosselyn through Alex Martinez, and Alex Martinez kind of made this, which they were going to be here today and couldn't be here, so we miss them very, very much. But we want to also congratulate Alex on an amazing accomplishment. When they told me on the phone, I literally cried like a baby because I think you get to a point where it's like people that are so meaningful to you, it's almost like your own children. Are doing this. So I asked him, I go, so this is what it feels like. You know, when you know that, you know, you're, you know, somebody you just love so much and know they're going to do so much amazing things for not just themselves, but the world. It's just phenomenal to know that you're kind of watching that happen. So huge congrats to Alex. And Randy, actually, I met him through Diosselyn, who they've had a huge connection. And I always talk about this, which is a huge thing for our communities. Is we need to start granting more access and resources to our people, right? If it wasn't for like Alex introducing me to Diosselyn or Diosselyn introducing me to Randy, you probably wouldn't all be here right now, you know, on this platform. And it's just phenomenal on what connections can do.
Definitely. And thank you, Valeria, for all the cool words. You're making me tear up over here. But no, like it really is to have people who encourage you and to have people who go along with your crazy ideas sometimes. Because trust me, sometimes we're just like, "What are you talking about?" It's really cool because then you find that community, you find that friendship. We like honestly, with Valeria, we had so many memories. It's so fun. I can definitely say that throughout all the projects that we did together, we really always had fun. We came back with a smile. We talked even more, and then we started developing even a personal friendship right away. I think
Yeah.
I call her, and every time we do like we talk about politics, I'm like, oh my god, Valeria, like I need to tell you something that I'm reading right now. And then we have this whole discussion. So definitely having people around you that support you, that have similar interests. There's always so many people that fit so many different areas of your life, and it's crazy to see all those connections. Like that connection that I made with Randy when I was 7, 8. Yeah, I was very, and then throughout today, like I can definitely say that I can rely on calling Randy at any moment. I can tell you about my problems a little bit, here and there. But he's always there. Like he's always there with great advice. You're on mute, yeah.
Thank you. So Randy, now that you're back.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Connection there.
I know there's like an echo or something weird going on. I don't know. So I'm sorry about that too. I'm learning this whole platform and figuring out like what's all this happening. But so Randy, tell us about what you do and all your amazing accomplishments because you've done some phenomenal things, especially with the KCK school board. And if you want to give some updates on that as well, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, for sure. So, but first, just thank you to Deanna, to the three of you for the opportunity to come on here and be with three powerful women in our community that are doing some amazing things. So, really, just proud of the work you all are doing, and however I can be supportive and a part of that. Please know that I'm here for each of you and what you're doing. And then just to go along with what both Valeria and Diosselyn were talking about El Centro. I used to work for El Centro way back in the day. In their marketing education program back at the Macias Flores building off of 10th and Centro. So shout out to all the crew from back then. And El Centro has been around doing some amazing work for a long time. So, and we see it with when Diosselyn was there, and now with Valeria, the work you guys are doing. So thank you for all the work you all do in our community and for supporting all of our community members and what you do. So I'm Randy Lopez. I currently am the Vice President of Community Programs at the Wyandotte Health Foundation. And I am also on the school board for the Prince Kansas Public Schools. So I'm in my 6th month of my tenure there. What an interesting time to be serving on the school board. But really, I'm learning a lot and really love the opportunity to serve in that space. And before I jump into that really quick, I just want to touch on what Diosselyn was saying in terms of this being the anniversary of DACA, 8-year anniversary of DACA, and what we've been able to accomplish as an overall community to make sure that our that our DACA recipients that are undocumented brothers and sisters have an opportunity, have resources, and have a voice. I think it's a beautiful thing to see, and we need to continue to work together to make sure that our DACA recipients are loved, feel loved. But what an example of when Black and Brown and minority communities can come together to push for something and advocate for something that they know is just and needed. And I saw this. I think it was a friend, Raymond Rico, who reposted something on Facebook, and I quickly read. I mean, it's just a powerful example of how when a community comes together to work towards an issue, to push an administration to do something good, and look what's been done with it. So congratulations to all of our advocates, but we know we have to keep fighting, keep pushing, and keep working because this society is filled with unjust, inequitable systems, and we have to keep working towards making those better for our community. So thank you to all of you for the work you do, and again in our community. So the school district, I'll just quickly touch base on that. We have a school board meeting tomorrow. If anyone wants to join us, it'll be on Zoom. So at 5 o'clock, join the school board meeting. But we're really working towards finding a plan. With COVID, COVID obviously interrupted a lot of in-person learning, and so we're trying to figure out how do we bring people back together? How do we bring our staff back together in a safe way? How do we bring students back, in the fall, hopefully, in a very safe way, but also understanding that um, things can change every day, right? And so we're trying to figure out how we can make sure that our students are safe, that they have the materials, the education materials that they have, and how do we learn from this, right? So how can we build a newer educational model that encompasses both in-person learning and virtual learning at the same time, right? So how do we learn from this, and move forward, and how we change our education system as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So how are you feeling, Randy, about because it's only been, how many months have you been on the school board?
6 months.
6 months. Okay. Has it been challenging? Is it what you expected? I mean, tell us, because I know you're one of the first Latinos on the school board. I mean, and that has to be so impactful to so many students, just to see your face and to know that you have the same story, and just representation is so important.
Yeah, I think the last time I was on your podcast, I was in campaign mode. So Diosselyn and I were on your podcast talking about the campaign. Yeah, it's been intense. I mean, even back then, campaigning is no joke. It takes a lot of time, a lot of resources, but it's definitely worth it. I love my time on the school board so far. The short 6 months we've had there. So I will just say, we have had other Latino school board members. Irene Cadillo was a Latina, but we haven't had an elected Latino school board member. So luckily now we've had one, and hopefully we can have several more in the years to come. Um, it's intense. I mean, what a time to come into the school board as COVID. We have COVID happen. Again, in-person learning is interrupted. We're jumping right into budget season now with the school board, and so there's a lot to learn, right? I mean, I've served on several boards as have all of you, but school board for me has just been a little bit different. The learning curve is a little bit steeper. There's a lot to take in, and you're representing the people who voted you in, right? You have to listen to the voices of the community to see, what's important for them, what changes or what things should we be doing as a school board, to make sure that our district is meeting the needs of all of our students, not just a segment of our population. So I think that's an important part. And then also learning all the policies. School boards are really about policy and policy, looking at our policies, revising our policies, making sure that we have the policies in place to lead to an effective and amazing school district. And so that's also something you've got to get to learn all the different policies that are that you're looking at and reviewing. So it's a lot of learning these first 6 months, and then with COVID, I mean, you just had to pick up real quick and start making some decisions as informed as you could be. But there's pressure because again, you're representing a community who voted you in. But at the same time, you are also representing all 23,000 students in that district and their families. You're representing the 4,000 plus employees that you're employed at that school district, and trying to do what's best for everyone. And and I'll be the first to say I'm going to make mistakes as a school board member. I probably already have made a few mistakes here and there, but I'm trying to learn from them and trying to do what's right for all of us kids.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, just knowing you in the short time that I've met you, I mean, you've made huge strides and accomplishments. And yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing for all of us, right? We're in a space that we're learning in. And I think if you show our kids that you can make mistakes and you still have a community that backs you up, and you'll still come on a show like this, even though you might not always agree with what we say or what we, talk about. But we're all here to learn, right? We're not all the same in our communities, and we all have to hear from different voices, within that. So with DACA, so Diosselyn, you have a virtual coming up, correct?
For this week?
DACA.
Yeah, so this no, so not me. So KS Moda is doing a virtual DACA clinic. They you guys can go to their page. They have a Facebook page as well, and they've been posting it today especially. And all you have to do is send an email, get them to get your information, and then they'll come back with you, and they'll start going forward with what the next steps are. There's, like you said, there's a lot of people out there that are willing to help, and they're one of the groups that are willing to help right now. And also, I know that you can connect with the Centro as well. And like Vale said, there's so many applications out there right now that if you need help, please go, please call, because they already know it. They're rehearsed on it. It won't take that long, I promise you, but it'll be a great benefit after all. So yeah, like I honestly kind of going on with what everybody's saying, we all of these individuals have played a part in our community already. Irene, setting the example for the district, for being in the school board in the district, then doing El Centro, and then all of us have been able to kind of see different things now. Randy's on it, and me looking at Randy as a mentor. I'm looking at him like, okay, what am I doing? And, we continue this going forward once we bring in more people. And if those doors are open, why not? Why not take that step in there? And why not ask those individuals that are there to help out? I don't know. Like, I think there's so many things going out right now, and I don't know. I look at all of you guys, and I know that you guys are my resources as well. I know that I can call you and be like, maybe there's something about the arts that I need. I know I can call Randy and talk to him about school board and professionalism. Sometimes, like you said, we're not all perfect. And there has been many times I'm like, Randy, how would you say this in a professional way? Text me back and tell me a few words. So there's always individuals that are willing to help out. And going back to DACA, if you guys can, it doesn't take that long to send that email. Take 5 minutes. It'll be of great benefit. And then, whatever happens, you will still have more time if your DACA is renewed right now. So we don't know. We just need to be aware and prepared. And there's also, a Centro has preparedness packets that you can go to them, and they'll help you guide yourself on how to prepare for different situations.
Yeah, definitely. Which kind of talking back about, DACA and the unfortunate side of it all, like if it was to get taken away, fortunately and unfortunately, El Centro does have a way for you to kind of have a plan, because that's something that we stress to our community a lot. We have to have a plan. We don't want to just have a situation where you deal, with an ICE official, or you get your DACA taken away, and then you're kind of scrambling to try and figure out, what do I do if let's say you own a business, or you have cars here that are already paid off, you have kids, you have a house. What if you already paid your house off, and then you get into all these issues? I Centro we have kind of a packet that we can help you have some things written on paper. As far as like for kids, we can also help you do power of attorney letters, which are huge. Let's say, something happens. What happens to your kids? What do you want to happen to your kids? You have the right to get a say in all of that. We just have to document it. That was the Preparémonos clinic that Diosselyn and Misael came up with, and they kind of handed that pretty much over right to El Centro and to us. And it's a really, really good tool for us to bring to our families, because it being prepared for those unfortunate situations is really, really important. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's some of the things that I learned from Randy as well. Just being prepared and always being aware of things. I don't know if you want to talk on some of that, but he's giving me great advice on why this is important to stay on top of all these different topics.
I think a couple of things come to mind. Just thinking about what Vale was talking about just being prepared, right? I mean, we live in a really scary time. So, 700,000 DACA recipients who are just hanging in the balance right now, right? Have no idea what's going to happen. Continually living in fear, and right now it's just, that much more, and I can't even imagine what that feeling is like. And so, checking in on on our families, our friends, and making sure that people are okay. And just you know, with everything going on, I mean, this is just another layer of the system playing out the way it's supposed to, right? The way that it was built to work. Um, so checking in on our brothers and sisters and making sure that people are okay and helping them be prepared by getting them to those resources like Valeria was talking about at El Centro, other places. So I think that's just, you know, one thing about, it's just about caring for one another. And I think that leads into what Diosselyn was talking about, right? I think it's caring enough about another person that you're invested in their growth that you're going to give them feedback or lift them up or help them reach whatever goal that they want to. And so, you know, I hope that all of you are invested in me, that you'll come to me and tell me like when I'm doing right or wrong, or like if I need help, or and Diosselyn, like I'm invested in Diosselyn enough that I'm going to go to her and like help her, like talk to her about whatever it is that we need to talk about, whether it's work, you know, personal things, because I'm invested in who she is as a person, that I care enough about her, that I want to see her do good things. So it's just about caring about one another, lifting each other up, and helping each other find those resources to be successful, whatever that's going to look like for anybody, right? And so same with Vale, same with Diana, like it's just about lifting each other up, and it it sounds very cliche, but especially in these very difficult times where the systems want to oppress us, right? Black and brown people, black and brown communities. I mean, I think it's now just as important to make sure that we're checking in on each other, talking to one another, lifting each other up, standing side by side with one another. You know, it's that you know, people have been sharing your struggle is my struggle, tu lucha es mi lucha, like making sure that we're standing up for one another and in solidarity, because it matters, and it's helpful to have people by you, alongside you, to lift you up, especially in these tough times.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's so important for your voices to be out here, because I myself was one of those people growing up, didn't really have that community of people you could do that, right? I mean, and then you just kind of go through life trying to figure it out, you know, and especially with myself being, you know, a mom at age 16, it was like, okay, this is just how it goes, right? I'm just gonna have my son have a family, go to business, you know, just not having that outlet of mentors or people to reach out to. And I feel like now that I've met so many of you that are doing such amazing things for your communities, and you're open to like talking to people. Like if someone were to ask me, which I get a lot, like, hey, I'd love to meet Diosselyn. Hey, I'd love to, you know, reach out to Randy. I'm always like, I know I can tell them, hey, you have, you know, or even just send the email. That it's always been like an open door for so many of you. And I think it's so important that, you know, people know that out there, because like you said, it is about raising and lifting all of us up, because we're not going to be able to do this all by ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's something to be said when I always heard, I think it's a quote, something along the lines of like, you are kind of the community around you. And I think so many people that I've looked up to that have accomplished great things, they always have such a great community around them. They always, I remember actually one time me and Dee were driving back from the Capitol maybe, and she decided to tell me her whole life story of how, you know, she became so into like community activism and all that stuff. And she told me like all these different people that she had a relationship with, and Randy was a big part of that, and Pam, and I'm forgetting Pam's husband name, and
Steve,
yeah, Steve, and all these different people that I think as she went along on her journey, she just kind of picked up all these people from her community. And after she told me everything, I told her, I said, Dee, you're gonna do something amazing one day, because you are a product of everyone that has lifted you up. And I think that's something to be said, because myself, I don't know if she was a mentor, but she was pretty much like a second mom to me. When I had an ELL class when I was in like elementary school, and I call her Miss D, her name's Lori. And she was like the translator for my family. I met her when I was in second grade, and after elementary, she moved into the middle school that I was going to. So she kind of followed me to middle school as well. And she always kept me on track. She always because I couldn't get away with stuff anymore. She was translating everything to my parents. And so she would always call my parents, let them know how I was doing in school, which she always checked on me, you know? And even when she left, because she moved back to Panama for some time, when she wasn't here, I kind of struggled a lot to finish college. And my last year of college, she came back, and I mean, she whipped me into shape. It was like, you need to get this, and you need to get this done because of everything that everyone has ever invested in you. Like, you have a lot on you right now. And for your family, for your community, for your people, like, you got to step it up. And I finished that semester. And so much of my journey and so much of what I've been able to accomplish so far, I owe it a lot to Miss D. She was a member of my community that really just kind of mentored me and really helped me kind of see that bigger picture. So I think, you know, we're all kind of members of, we're all byproducts of the people that we put into our circle. And that can sometimes do a lot for us if we kind of put the right ones in our circle, you know what I'm saying?
I think, and that's a great point, Valeria. And I think part of it, you know, when Diosselyn first asked to speak today around leadership, you know, I think we're all kind of leaders in our own right. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know who's watching us. It might be your little brother or sister, your little cousins, or classmates, or, you know, like, I look at Diosselyn and I'm so amazed, and I learn from a lot of things that she's doing with her life as well, right? So for me, like, I learn a lot from people that I watch, and so, you know, I think oftentimes we put this leadership tag on people because of their position, right? But I think we're all leaders in our own right, and I think we just have to step into that and own that and understand that, and yeah, like, we need good people around us too that to learn from, and but, you know, we should never limit ourselves in terms of our view of ourselves as a leader, because there are people always paying attention to who you are, what you're doing, what you're accomplishing, and you know, all of you are doing some great things. So I think that speaks volumes about your leadership, about where you're at. You know, Deanna, like, where, you know, how you got to this point. You know, you're holding your own podcast, like, you know, the Latino Arts Festival, everything you guys are doing. I mean, it's amazing work, and people see that and watch that and learn from that, and, like, people that we may not even know are seeing us as a leader, holding us up as leaders, and so I think that's something that we can hold as well.
I agree. I think everybody's a leader. And again, like, going back to Deanna, I always tell her, look at this platform that we have built. Without her, we wouldn't be doing this talks, and we wouldn't be raising awareness in this way. And I think that has a lot to say. It's those little steps, those little, like, maybe windows, doors, whatever, right? Those little things that are open for us that someone else invites us to, and just shows us this whole new world. A world that we never thought about, we never knew it existed, or we never even were exposed to it. Because sometimes we're not meant to see those things. They don't, you know, not to go into different things, but, like, they don't want us to meet those things. There's not that many of us. And that's what I learned when I see Irene, when I see Brandy, when I see different leaders in the community, Hispanic leaders. Like Lisa, there's so many that have made their spots in the community and have built tremendous things. We have festivals. We have cultural heritage ones now. I mean, you look at it from a couple of years ago, and we barely had anything, and now we have all these different plethora of opportunities that, you know, people have paid, and it's cool to see that we can go behind them. And again, they're willing to pull us in and show us the way. And not a lot of us get that opportunity. Not a lot of communities have that opportunity, and there's a great community here in Wyandotte County. And in KCK, KCMO, there's great leaders. There's amazing people out there.
Yeah. To kind of piggyback off what we've been saying, I think it definitely is important to, when you finally get, one step above where you were, who can you bring up with you? You know, that was one thing that working at Centro, Dee has definitely, she just started inviting me to all these things. She started exposing me to all these different things that, all these different events, all these different community leaders that I didn't know about. And now one thing that it's always in the back of my mind of, like, who can I bring with me? Who can I bring up with me too? You know, who can I bring to the table? Because I recognize that there aren't a lot of us young brown people at some of these tables where we need to be. So, you know, like Randy said, we're all leaders in a way, right? So I think it's definitely important that the second you get an opportunity to bring someone with you, we should, you know, and that's something that I look forward to doing too, as well.
So just to piggyback on that, and I don't want to make this like the whole topic, but this is so important because I think that other people in our community need to hear the stories that you all are telling, and then how we even got to this point of where you and all of us are together. Because one of the things that I try to express all the time when I'm talking to people, and that's even, you know, non-Latino groups, is, you know, I was doing work in the community for over 10 years, probably a little bit even before that. And, you know, it took someone from outside of Kansas City to see a leader in me. And it took someone from outside of Kansas City for me to believe that I was a leader. And that should not have happened that way. We in Kansas City, our own community, should be seeing the leaders that are out there, even though they're not in our circles, they're not being talked about. We have to start looking in the front of us, the side of us, the back of us, because we are going to be missing out on so many other Diosselins, right? Other Randys. You know, there's probably millions of Deannas sitting there right next to you doing amazing work. But I think in our communities, we too are very humble and we don't really ask for help. And we just figure, you know, we need to do this on our own. And sometimes we make it and sometimes we don't. But I think it's time for all of us to start figuring out, like, how do I ensure that the person next to me is getting all the love and needs they need, just like I got. Like, and that's one thing I look at now. I was like, if it wasn't for Rachel Mendez, I wouldn't be doing this podcast. I wouldn't have you all on here. I wouldn't have the ability to show other Latinos out there that there are Diossens out there. There are Valerias out there. There are Randys out there. And you are just like them, if not even probably more so, you know, doing great things. And it's like, we need to start doing that more for our communities. And that's Black and Black communities, not just, you know, us Latinos.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree, and especially with our, you know, I think that's something that, you know, I think about the school district, right? And you know, we've got 23,000 young people. How are we as a district ensuring that we're providing those opportunities that they can step into their leadership, where they have the opportunity to grow their network, to be seen by their classmates, by their teachers, by our community at large, and so. I think that, you know, I believe our educational system, our education is the foundation for all of our success, whatever level of education we attain. You know, and I think I have a responsibility as a school board member, but we collectively have a responsibility as a community to ensure that those 23,000 students have those opportunities to shine, to grow their network, and for us to invest in them so that they do have those opportunities to whether it's an entrepreneur, an artist, a business-minded person, whatever it is that they want to do, that they have those opportunities for growth, and that they're meeting the people that they need to meet, or are being seen by the people, you know, that they're not invisible. To your point, Deanna, right? So that they have those opportunities, and that they are seen. And so I think we're trying to do that at the school district, and it's not always easy. And I know, you know, all of our students come with different challenges, but we need to see those opportunities for growth within each of them. And how can we as a district, and how can we as a global community really invest in them and take the time to help them grow and reach their goals. So I think you're absolutely right.
So, Randy, I have a quick question for you, because I know that the Hispanic Development Fund is out there definitely with a scholarship, and thank you to them for sending me and my kids like this huge book, right? It's I haven't even really looked at it. It's just that scary. But besides the Hispanic Development Fund, do you all, even Diosselyn, Valeria, know of any resources out there in the Latino community, Black and Brown community, that do help with parents and kids in regards to scholarships? And I'm meaning, like, even to the point where it's like a mentoring almost, to where you can email them, call them. It's not just like 1 to like 3 million people, right? Because I can only imagine how many people Hispanic Development Fund has in their one community. But is there any other resources out there that us as parents, because I'm dealing with this right now, that can just call someone locally and be like, I need help. There's a book, I got it. I know there's resources, but I don't want my child to miss out on opportunities just because I did not know about those opportunities when I was trying to go to college and then just went for a year at Penn Valley and never finished.
Yeah, that's definitely that's definitely something that is needed. And I think early on, like last year in May, it was early on in the spring, because I think Dee and I, when she was still at Centro, we briefly talked about trying to come up with some sort of like a clinic almost, where we could bring in parents and bring in probably people from the Hispanic Development Fund to really kind of sit down with parents and go through it a little bit more, so that we didn't just offer like, hey, here's a huge book of scholarships, figure out which ones like you can and can't apply for. Because I know it's definitely needed, especially with the language barrier. That's a huge thing. That's part of like our culture, I think, where, you know, like I remember like my mom would take me, and then it's like, okay, mija, tú entra, tú haz, like you go ask, I'll sit here, like, you know, they supported me the best that they could, like, but it hit a limit because of that language barrier, right? So I wish I could tell you like, yes, you can contact this person, this, blah, 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 blah. I don't have that resource. When people ask me for scholarships, I give them the packet, I show them the website, and we have like I think it's MALDEF, is it MALDEF, right? Yeah, that packet as well. But I do very much recognize that this is something that our parents need. And right now with COVID, it's even harder to think of a way that we could sit things down and stuff. But, you know, if anyone out there has those, what am I thinking, like connections where we could do it over Zoom or anything like that, please contact me at El Centro. I would love to do that, because I know and I recognize very much so that this is very, very much needed for our community.
So you're going to make me cry because I think when you're told, you know, Hispanic Development is a phenomenal, we have a scholarship that we worked through there almost a year and a half ago, and we're hopefully going to have it back. Phenomenal team. So it's not anything to them, but it is the fact that you just said, it's like parents have so many things and under-resourced. You know, myself not having that, I don't have a language barrier, but I have a knowledge barrier. I would see myself telling Priscilla, hey, why don't you ask about this? Because I have no idea what the hell that is. You know, you want to go to take social justice? Great. You ask that question. But as a mom, you feel like you've let your child down. They're 4.0 students, right? Work their butts off in school with under-resourcing that they had at home. And not the networks, not the access points. I don't have someone I can call and be like, hey, my daughter is doing this amazing work. She does this stuff outside in the communities. And it's just heartbreaking, because I had a conversation, and please don't kill me. My hairstylist is amazing. And she's an amazing, phenomenal hairstylist. She has resources. She knows people. But she just had the same issue happen with her son, who just graduated, who did not get the Hispanic Development Fund. They did not email him personally. He got like a random email saying who won it, but nothing in regards to, hey, thanks for applying. Thanks for doing this. You know, it just can't stop at here's an application and you tried. I feel like there has to be more outreach, because you're not stopping at applications at freshman year. You know, some kids need applications every single year. Mm-hmm. And especially for our communities that don't have money to be doing this, but your kids are doing phenomenal work and they deserve those scholarships just like the next person.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you know, to your point, Deanna, I mean, that speaks to the capacity issue in our communities of color, right? Our Black brown communities, these agencies that really work, that are led by people of color and that really are serving of our community of color, have been historically underfunded or not funded at all. And so I think, you know, that's the struggle that HDF has. I mean, we're fortunate enough that we are able to, this year we gave away the most amount in scholarship dollars in our history. which is amazing. But to your point, we had such a large number of applicants, all of whom are deserving of a scholarship, absolutely. But we just don't have the resources to be able to do that. And I think we're trying to build up those resources so that we can do it. And I think to hear that feedback, right? How do we add that personal touch? How do we make sure that we're going that extra step? We've increased that. So I'm on the board. For those that don't know, just to be transparent, right? I'm on the board of the Hispanic Development Fund, a former scholarship recipient as well. We're increasing our staff as well. We just recently, we're at 3 staff members, which I think is the most that we've had in a long time, or ever probably in the history of HDF. But 3 staff people to do all this work, and we're, but how do we do that personal touch to make sure that those students don't feel discouraged if they don't get a scholarship this year, that they come back and reapply next year, and then we can help support them throughout the year so that they're building themselves up to get to the point where they do receive a scholarship. This past year, we've done ACT prep course in two different high schools, which is brand new for us, but pretty successful. And we've done some, to your point about family engagement. So we've done some college tours, not just for the student, but we took the family to the college campuses to visit, to see themselves, to see their student on the campus as well. So those little things, but it's and we know it's not enough, but we're trying to get there. But I think to your point, it's how can we make sure that we're adding that personal touch for all of those students, and making sure that they feel cared for, because absolutely they're all deserving of it. And we need to continue to do our job to reach out to them and help them get to the point where they are receiving that scholarship.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I know you guys are doing phenomenal work. Like I said, just meeting John and the team recently, not even a year ago, and there's so many kids, there's so many, not, like you said, not enough funding, not enough resources. So Diosselyn and Valeria, to your point, it kind of does come down to our communities of people who can volunteer time to provide that access to those that are not able to have it.
Yeah, and just to add on, I'm probably gonna say a lot, not a little bit, but a lot. First thing, I do want to repeat what Valeria said. Please get in contact with her if you can. There's several handbooks. There's MALDEF, there's HDF handbook, playbook, because Hispanic Development Fund also has a playbook that you guys can look at different scholarships. Like Randy said, it's unfortunate, it's limited. That there's so many people out there that need this help, and it sucks that we have limited resources, but HDF does have that playbook that we're able to see other scholarships. Now, to the point that Valeria said, it's one thing to have it and then be able to guide it, right? And I'm gonna hype up Randy here because my story was successfully, thankfully, and I'm grateful for this. I had the compliment scholarship and was able to learn different things that you have to look out for. Unfortunately, I had to fight for that scholarship at 17, and I had to get lawyers to be able to retain that scholarship. And I had to quickly learn that not every door was just going to be open for me. I had to fight for it. And on that end, I know that there's a horrible feeling when you're a senior and you're just like, what am I going to do? But please don't get it. It took me a while to get back up, but I had people like Randy that was just like, you're going to do this internship. You're going to do this. Like, it wasn't that like, you're going to do it, but he was just like, oh, I have this, like, I signed you up, we should go do it. And, and that's how I got more and more invested in it, into looking at what scholarships was. I learned about Hispanic Development Fund through Randy. The first person I saw going to college as a Hispanic was Randy, so there was so many different things that I found out that it was difficult, but I knew that there was people that I could go and just kind of talk and be like, hey, like, I don't know this, but how can you help me? And maybe they don't know it, but then now you have like 2 different individuals looking at this issue and trying to help you. So to kind of summarize it, I think that is a question and challenge that, we as a community have. How can we support what's already there? How can we expand it? How can we contribute to it? Because there's so many first generation students that I know like are willing to pass that knowledge down. I think of my friends Karina and Angeles and Natasha, and oh my God, like they graduated this year. They're going to nursing school. They're just graduated as psychologists, and it's cool to see because I know that they work hard. It wasn't an easy road. It wasn't, right away at times. There was a lot of curves, but we can do it and we can make it, and we're going to be in those spaces because we deserve it. And I think if we could all figure out how to bring this up and how to educate one another, I think that would be fantastic, definitely. HDF has partnered up with the Centro too and done different talks as well. And I can think of many different resources, but I also see that where are we advertising those resources? How can people know how to get to those resources? And if you don't know the person that knows those resources, how do you get connected? And it's unfortunate to say that we don't have a system set up yet, but there's people there, and maybe connecting to a Centro, connecting to HDF, you can connect to other things that you may not know about. Also, I was going to say Big Brothers Big Sisters. That's a whole nother organization that you could connect with. And even if you're a family more than one, they will still accept you. It'll be a different process, but they'll still accept you. I have a biggie and love her to death. She's taught me several things that I need to know in personal lives and different things like that, and tips. So there's programs out there, and if you can connect with any of the organizations, HDF or Centro, I'm pretty sure that they will guide you towards that.
So we do have a question here real quick, just because I know I'm keeping you guys way longer than what you expected, but in Johnson County, is there any connections in Johnson County?
Yeah, I saw that question. I think there's a ton of things. And I mean, one of them is El Centro. El Centro is out there in Johnson County. You guys do have an Olathe office, I'm pretty sure. I think another person in terms of just education, the education world out there, Eric Arazo. I don't know if you guys probably know Eric out there in Olathe School District. He just got promoted this past year he's a big timer over there now. I think he runs Olathe.
He's amazing.
And he's got an amazing lowrider bike club and car club too. So
yeah, so he's doing some amazing things out there with students and particularly students in the Olathe School District, but just overall in Johnson County, I think he would be a really good connection for you, Marisa, to go and look up Eric Arazo. And then you've got, there's a couple of different coalitions, the Latino Coalition, the Hispanic Coalition of Johnson County, I forget the exact name, but they do some good work out there in Johnson County as well. They do a lot more around, I think, voter registration, voter education, getting people to vote. But I think it's all interconnected, right? I mean, voting is a part of our success. Education is a part of our success. So that all that goes hand in hand. I think Mary Lou Jaramillo, who used to be the CEO at El Centro, I think she's the one that heads that group up. Her and Mary Estrada. So there's some good groups out there in Olathe. And the Shawnee Mission School District, I used to work in the Shawnee Mission School District in their Migrant Edge program, and they're doing some good things. Especially, I'll give a shout out to Shawnee Mission North. They've done some good things out there. Miss Jackie Madrigal, who's a teacher, ESL teacher out there, and has a class out there where she teaches around Latino literature. It's one of the only classes of her kind in the Midwest area. And so she's a great advocate for our students, our Latino students, and has done some college fairs at the school there. So I think she'd be another good connection. Tanya Esparza out there as well, and Shawnee Mission. So definitely some good folks out there in Johnson County. Sorry, you guys probably have others, but those came to mind right away.
I was just going to add, there's also a Young Latina Leaders in Johnson County that Mary Estrada and Mary Lou Jaramillo do. And yeah, I think it's Olathe Latino Coalition and Olathe Leaders. Latino Leaders, they're doing different work as well to be able to provide different workshops. I think that's everything that I have in my head.
I was going to try to write it in the comments, but I'll do it after our broadcast. I'll put some of those names out there. And Randy and Diosselyn and Valeria, if you have any links that you could share with our community, that would be amazing. So that way they can just go out there and kind of search for themselves as well. And even in your own contacts, like if you have an email or anything that they could like reach you directly at, I think that would be very, very helpful as well. I know we only have a little bit of time left, and I just want to say one more thing that it was phenomenal today, the LGBTQ. I mean, just the ability to, work in a safe space. It is, and be you is like a human thing, right? Like that's just all what we need and deserve and should have every freaking day.
Yes, congratulations to the LGBTQ community. It's amazing. Everybody deserves those human rights, no matter what.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We have to keep working together, right?
Yes.
I mean, that should have happened. That should have already been there. Those protections should have already been in place. So it just speaks to the continued work that we have to do as a community, as individuals, to come together to work towards equity for all of our different communities. For to be able to get up and say Black Lives Matter, for us to be able to say that Undocumented, Unafraid, and we matter as well, right? To be able to say that LGBTQ rights are should be there as well and protected. And so we've got a long way to go, but I'm hopeful. This conversations on that outside of this, seeing the work you all are doing, being a part of everything that's happening in our community, I'm very hopeful that things will continue to get better. Yeah.
Valeria, do you have any last words to kind of tell the community and talk about?
Last words. No, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for kind of using your platform, like we said, to amplify, Latino voices. And one thing, I guess, it's like a pro and a con, but something that I think a lot about for my community, being a part of, I'm Latina. Nothing has ever really been given to our people. Nothing. Our people come from work. Our people come from journeys, and as unfair as it is sometimes, I like to remind that when I talk to young Latinos that it's in our blood to work hard for the things that we want. Ask your parents what they did to come here, because I guarantee you it wasn't easy. And that's something that when I talk to young people, I always like to use it, because it can almost be a negative turn into a positive. That you will have to work a little bit harder for the things that you want in life, but know that's it'll make you appreciate the things you have in life as well too, right? And that's our gente. That's what we do. We work hard for what we get. And I guess those are just kind of the last words I want to leave with, because those are words that when I go through hard times, especially finishing college was one of those moments for me that all I could think about was, what were my parents doing at my age? Because they weren't, just trying to finish finals. They had 2 kids coming to a country where they didn't know a language, they didn't have jobs, they didn't even know where they were gonna live, but they did it because that's what's in our blood. We work hard. And I like to remind, especially our young people, that it's our young Latino people, that it's in our blood. So, it's time, let's get after it, and there's good things to come.
Absolutely. Oh my God, that was like the best last words. Okay, Diosselyn, it's your turn.
I have to follow that. So 2 things that came to mind real quick, because we're sharing resources, right? The Kansas Latino Hispanics Affairs Commission, you can also reach out to them, and they also have different opportunities. So if you're interested somehow in politics or working in government, there are spaces for you in there. So please reach out to Alde Negrete. She has really good connections on that end. As well, just kind of thinking out loud, I think, don't let somebody tell you that it's a no. There's so many. Recently, I've heard a lot of students talk to their counselors who tell them that they can't do something. Sometimes the people that are in leadership don't really know what they don't know. So do not let some negative words tell you no. Really look for those different opportunities there are out there. And again, when we are needed in those tables, and when people don't want us in these tables, don't take that as a negative. Take that as a positive. Take that as a challenge to being like, okay, now I'm not saying, do something confrontational, but just take it as a challenge upon yourself to be able to grow and be better, because we are better and we have so much to give. We have so many skills. We have so much creativity that it is crazy that we limit ourselves for some other words that shouldn't be limiting us at all. So in that end, like Vale said, somos luchadores. And that's what we do. We fight, we stand together, we're united. There's a whole community behind us, and keep going forward. Don't let no one stop you. Definitely. All the Latinos, the young Latinos, look at our role models, connect with them. They are more than happy and willing to open those doors for you as well. And we need you guys. We need everybody that is wanting to connect in any way, in any area. There's so many spots that we have yet to represent in. Go, Randy.
No, thank you. I'll just say again, thank you to Deanna for the platform and for sharing these resources, and for the three of you. I'm grateful for each of you, what you're doing in our community, because we need it now more than ever. We need this love, we need this strength, we need this energy, and we need to continue to work together. So I'm appreciative of the work that you all are leading in this community, and everyone else who's a part of this. Right? I think. How do we use this platform and the platforms that we have, the networks that we have, to push and advance the progress that we want to see in our community? And we know it's hard, and we know but like Vale said, our families came from that, blood, sweat, tears, worked hard to get where we're at now. So we got to keep working, we got to keep pushing, and so I'm grateful for the three of you, because you three are amazing and powerful leaders in this community that are doing some great things. How do we harness that energy together to put those resources around college access, right? Those scholarship access. How do we build other young leaders up? Those 23,000 students in our district. How can we together work to build them up and get them in the space where they have their own podcast too, right? So again, I think I'm here to support all of you, and happy to continue the conversation, because and move it to action, because a conversation is great, and listening to one another is essential. But then how do we shift and then move into action to support and grow and build our communities? So that's what I'm most excited about as well. So, but again, thank you to the three of you for great conversation tonight.
No, this was an amazing conversation. I'm so glad I met you, Valeria, and I'm so grateful for Diosselyn and all the work that you're helping me with the Chicano. She's actually going to help me with the Chicano Cultural Art and Cultural Center. So it's like the two of us banding together to make sure this thing works. And she's taking over all the training and all the brainstorming, all of it. So thank you to Diosselyn for that, and just showing what leadership means. And Randy, I appreciate you working with the schools. And like you said, it is actionable. It is about the fact that we need to not just have this conversation, but ensure that we are acting on it and doing something. And I think with the camaraderie of just the fact that we know that there's a need there, just in regards to even the scholarships and just banding those families together, that right there alone, you're like, easily can be done in small ways, to where hopefully a small group can end up with a bigger group, and maybe funding, and then maybe even a larger group, and then groups all over the Kansas City area and different districts, maybe even in the schools. So I think it can happen. We just need to ensure that we're speaking out about it, which I feel like we just did on this platform. So I appreciate your guys' honesty and just coming with it and hey, this is what we need to do, and we got to do it.
Thank you. And vote. Make sure y'all get out there and vote.
Yes. The
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Have a great evening. Thank you to everyone that was watching and sending in your comments. Get a hold of all of them. They're open.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Let's see.